Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. Really appreciating you taking time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Greatly appreciated, so thank you in advance. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a classic that has pretty much had an entry on like every single platform, but oftentimes gets kind of overlooked. This is Bomberman. Now, particularly, we're playing the Super Nintendo version. This is the one that I owned as a kid, and this is one I played the most. But like, it's Bomberman, right? Like, it's a very simple concept, but like a really cool game. And it's one that, again, it's basically stood the test of time as far as being put on all of these different platforms. And as we all know, they're not making the game just because they want to make the game. It's got to at least be doing adequately enough numbers. But this is like one of those games that you can introduce people who don't play games to, and they'll be like, okay, I kind of get it with this one, right? You know, because you got people who don't particularly like video games for whatever reason, but like, this game is one of those kind of icebreaker games. You know, you want to have fun with people who don't want to take things too seriously, like, or you're super competitive at Bomberman, like my brother Ron and Zach, my friend Zachy, is like, but either way, you can do all those versions, right? And for me personally with Bomberman, I like it because it's one of those games where like you can also just kind of play it quickly. Like if you're playing the single player mode, you can always usually, you know, just do a couple rounds in it, and it's fun. But I always have one issue with Bomberman. I've never been that good at this particular game. I don't know, because I'm always so worried about blowing myself up that I end up overthinking things and I blow myself up, or I started to get cocky because I landed a couple good kills, because, you know, you got to do the versus mode, you know, just seeing what chaos can happen. And I'll start to get too cocky about it, and then I'll end up either, you know, blowing myself up or getting trapped by something dumb and getting blown up when I should have known better. But that's just kind of like always going to happen with me in Bomberman. And I really do love this series. It's just, I could just never be as good as I wanted to be at it, because I constantly either overthink it or underthink it. I never reach like that perfect, like Bomberman, you know, zen. And I feel like people who are good, like Zach and my brother Ron, they know, they just kind of like, yeah, it's gonna happen this way. It's like, I feel like those people are the people who could be fighter pilots. They have a certain level of like, you know, reactionary ability, where I'm always just like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. But this particular version I really like because, you know, with the NES version, obviously it's a classic, but you know, the Super Nintendo always improved on everything the NES did, and this was a perfect example of it. It was like, you know, when I was growing up, they would put Super next to something to let you know, like, this was on the NES, but now it's on the Super NES, and this is the better version. It's gonna have new features and things like that. And like visually, I always just liked the way this one looked. Like this one in the 64 versions, I think were like some of the getting the most out of that art style, you know, regardless of how much power each, you know, versions have. Because like the newer ones, they look pretty cool, but I don't know, I just always felt like this was like the best version of this aesthetic. And then, you know, the bosses in the later versions are even too complicated for me, so I'm not even gonna risk it. But I always felt like I could figure out the SNES versions. Never beat it. Like I said, this is a game I enjoyed, but could never quite get in the right groove. But I remember my brother like just zoning in and just going through it, and it's like, you know, at that point I had become like the video game guy of the family. But you know, this game, he was just like, nope, let me lock in and show you what's going on. So I always have that memory of him just kind of like taking over, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, like, you know, Bomberman is his thing. But again, this is a classic series, so I know that you are familiar with, even if you've never really played it, I know you've taken time to at least visually enjoy it. And if you think, you know, you need a game, like I said, if you need a game for non-gamers to play, or people who are like, not really my thing, 4-player Bomberman, you know, like the Bomberman R on the Switch, like, it's just fun. We did it as a mystery game, and people were like, I don't know. And then they started playing, and all of a sudden you're seeing the smiles and the, you know, people starting to get a little competitive. You see the competitive nature come out. Like Bomberman is like Tetris. It'll bring it out of you. Like if you don't know you're competitive, put 4-player Bomberman on, and you'll start to see. You can point it out. You know, it's a way to test the kids to see where their mental game is, right? Just put some Bomberman in and just say, you know, let Darwinism take over. But love to hear your thoughts on this series. And I appreciate you letting me reminisce with you. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.